Okay, recommendation that the regular council meeting for November 8th, 2023. Oh, we start at, yeah, that's all done. Okay, let's just go to approval of the agenda recommendation that the regular council meeting. No, we did all that too. Let's go all the way down to here. Sorry. We do it a little bit different every time. So well, now we're just going into the public portion hearing. No one needs to do anything. It's been done. All right. So we have with us today delegation and Ralph Watterson. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. He's here today. Evening, Mayor and Councilor. My name is Ralph Watterson, which you've heard, and I have a 3/4 of an acre and have a house on. I have a large garden, all shrubs and trees. We have an irrigation system we put in. And to keep things green during the summer, as you know, we've had some really hot summer. I have a bit of an anal thing about rain about fire. And in front of you, I think I sent some copies of my invoice. And if you have a look at them, invoice there from January 2020 to June 2020. Have a look at it and you'll know our water consumption is 34 cubic meters. Sewer consumption is billed at $23.12. That was a fairly wet spring. Now have a look at the invoice for July 2021. September 2021. That's the year of the fire. What was the consumption of 341 cubic meters? Hot summer, and that was the year we had the fires. And as you can tell, it's 10 times what we used for the water and the other previous year. So we didn't have 20 other people staying at our house using showers and the bathroom and everything else. That was water that was going out on the yard. And for that 341 cubic meters, I was charged $245. With the previous spring, we had $23. That's just outrageous. We had only 2 of us in the house. And COVID was on. So we were staying home and we weren't getting that many visitors or anything. So now you know why I'm here. And I know there's a lot of other people in town have been complaining about this, especially those that live in the 2 mile area and south of town, because they had sprinklers set up. They were running 24/7 to keep the fire at bay. And they were having higher volumes of water, and of course, in relation to that, their sewer bill was way up there too, and they weren't even home. They were evacuated. So no, I have some questions for Mr. Simbaluk here too, because he's kind of watching things as far as the water that goes through the city. Question: does the volume of sewage fluctuate much through the seasons and the years? Does it go up and down very much? Yeah. Considerably more in the summer, or
considerably more in the summer.
Yeah, because of the tourists, I presume.
Absolutely.
You did say that you're in 2021. You're having a tough time, and the water plant was maxed out, trying to keep up with demand for the fire.
So
we had periods. I'm not sure.
I remember talking to you.
Yeah.
That fall or in the early spring of 2022.
So just a second, just.
He went down a bit.
Excuse me, Ralph.
Could be Ralph. I'm not sure what your question is.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Well, for that season.
Excuse me, Ralph, sorry. I don't want this to be an inquisition for Daryl. So, I mean, Kelly, Kelly have obviously Ralph has come in. Have his concerns been addressed, and what do we have any?
Yeah.
How could you want to?
His biggest concern is right now the sewage consumption rate that we have is based on 80% of the consumption of his water. So in the summer times when he's, garden and everything like that, that water isn't. Most of it isn't going into our sewage system, it's going into the ground. So his concern, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that he does not believe 80% is a proper percentage to be billing him at.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So he is not concerned with our water at all, the water consumption or anything like that. It's the fundamental of the 80% consumption.
And so I'm concerned for other citizens too, like those over 2 miles south of town when the fire was happening. They weren't even home and their sprinklers were running 24/7. And they weren't even home to use the sewer. Have a shower with it. And I have other questions too. Do business operators, like in motels, condos, in schools and so on, do they have meters on their sewage or are they billed the same way? I don't, maybe that's more of the financing part.
Built the same way. The only reason why we usually have sewer meters, if it's, for example, like the dumping and stuff from houseboats and everything like that, where they're not using water, they're just dumping sewage.
Right.
So in that case, we have meters set up for pretty much.
High strength waste.
Yeah,
Mhm.
at high strength. ones.
Trucks that come in and the household companies.
They also mix water with that as well.
Right.
And they also pay a quite a high.
Yeah,
rate.
premium for that. Yeah.
And I have an issue also with this fixed charge. And I asked about getting a second meter so I can put it on my irrigation system, separate from what goes into the house. So then we have an accurate figure of what actually goes into the sewer that I'm using for showers, et cetera, in the house, as opposed to what's going on in the yard. And I was told, no, and even if I was allowed to have a separate meter, they're gonna charge me another fixed charge. And that's, I forget what it was, $210 a day. And I thought, well, that's kind of, no, sorry, $250 for water. I'm thinking, why would I need have to pay an extra fixed charge? And somebody's gotta come around and just read the meter and that's it. If I'm paying for having that other meter put in, why am I paying another fixed charge on top of the one I've already got? And so my other question was, how long does it take for somebody to read the meter actually? Does somebody walk down the street with I don't know, I'm not too sure how it's done.
It's automated, it's electronic.
It's an electronic thing?
Yeah, I mean, we get a generated list at the end of it where we go back, so,
Okay.
you know, what might take a minute at each place, we're going back and trying to troubleshoot some that take half an hour or an hour, so it varies, but usually it's quick.
Okay.
Usually it's.
Also, I was wondering why the $250 fixed charge on top of if I got it.
So Bianca can probably,
Yeah, it's just embedded within our rates and regulations in the
Yeah.
bylaw. And so those rates, they're handled differently in different municipalities. Some of them have, you know, whatever you use for water, you pay 100% for sewer. We're at 80%, which you're saying is high. Some are doing 1-for-1.
Yeah.
Others will give you a little more of a break, but then if you're a high user, then you pay a premium. So, you know, there's little mechanisms that no matter how you do it, you know, most communities want to dissuade water from being dumped on the ground. It's a product. We have to make the hypochlorite and, you know,
I'm not arguing.
yeah, no, there's a cost to it. So we don't want people just dumping it on the ground. I mean, you know, within parameters, it works for everybody.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be a heavy user, then yeah, there's extra cost to it.
I shouldn't be paying for sewer for something I'm not using. That's what I'm getting at.
And when we bring the fees for charges bylaw, I have that scheduled right now for December 13th finance committee meeting. We can look at that, because right now in our bylaw, we base our fixed charges on your meters. So if you have 2 meters, you pay 2 fixed charges. I have a couple of situations in town that we can discuss at that meeting. One of them also is, okay, if you have a second meter for, say, a carriage house. Right now, you're paying 2 fixed charges, even though it might be the same one connection, you're getting 2 fixed charges. So that's something that we can look at both on the irrigation side and on a second suite side. But at the same time, like speaking to Daryl, usually what an irrigation meter originally was meant for was for like stratas and places that have like a large area to maintain, but
Farms.
small farms and stuff like that. And, but then, because we did have some inquiries over, you know, people with large. Some people it doesn't make sense to put in that second irrigation meter. Looking at Ralph's numbers, he's kind of on the cusp of that. Really, I think when we ran the numbers, I don't know, Wendy's ran the numbers previously and stuff, it didn't make sense with. Cause you, in the summer times, you do dip down, or the winter time, sorry, you do dip down. And then summer times, it goes up, but you pay the fixed charge both pay periods, right? Winter, like same fixed charge all throughout the year, so. That's something,
So staff has already done the math on
yeah,
this.
I mean, every year's a bit different and, but. He's in the winter times, he's pretty much a normal user. And then the summer times he goes over compared to our average user of 200 cubes.
Sure, I probably do too.
I looked at you though, you were okay. We went over.
Gord was over. Start pointing fingers here. We all need to slow down a bit, okay? Counselor Evans.
Thanks through the chair. Is it safe to say that in 21, everybody paid a lot more for water?
Yeah.
Because Ralph, I've had lots of people, I used to live on 2 Mile and I've had lots of people come and tell me that they were upset about that. And frankly, I said to some of my friends, I said that was the cost of saving Pigamoose. And it was what we had to pay to make the town safe. And everybody bore the brunt of a higher cost that year. And so it's just the difficult truth is that it costs money to save our town. So that's what I told some of my friends that are specifically where I lived in the Sycamore Creek Mobile Home Park. Well, so I talked to many of my friends out there that were upset about the higher charge. So I understand it's upsetting, but it was the cost of saving our town.
Anyway, we can, you can take the percentage of what goes to the sewage plant is what we use for water and take the difference, and then we know, like, if it actually works out for the winter time or from the summer to the December, if it works out, maybe it's 50% rather than 80%. Yes, why can we not adjust that each 6 months period? I mean, this is just something I'm throwing out there. I've got ideas on here, or maybe even for the winter time, you could just use a fixed charge and not even charge for sewer, because from what I see from sewer that I've, some friends that I've asked about, and their sewer bill sometimes is like $25 for the 6 month period. And mine was for that one period that I was showing you there that I passed that bill around, and that was a wet spring. So that shows that we're not using sprinklers, we're just using the sewage water that's going into the house. So in that case, sewage is going to be down compared to the volume of water. And you could do a percentage wise sample. Figure the percentage rather than just doing the fixed charge of 80% and that's it. Do something that's more realistic. That's what I'm trying to get at.
So I think just a couple of years ago, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, we have researched this and went through our sewer rates and our water rates and communities around. And we need closer to a one size fits all here because we cannot do individual homes and monitor and have different rules for everyone else. So I think that the staff worked really hard a couple of years ago and came to an equation that is fair for everyone. So I'm not sure what you're asking us to do here, Kelly or Bianca.
And I think at the same time too, like our consumption rate, what we try to do is make it as simple as possible. Administratively, it works well for us, for homeowners, they can kind of get an idea. I mean, you have people in, condos and apartments that all their water that they're using, like they don't, 100% of it's going down the drain. And then we have other people with big yards that, some of them let them go yellow, some of them let them stay green. Really, at the end of the day, if we lower that percentage to say 60%, well, we're just gonna have to increase the rate to pay for our sewer. Like I don't think there's a there's a happy, we're trying to get to a happy medium. We're not gonna make everyone happy, and I understand that, and we're just trying to make it
Fair.
as fair as equitable as
Possible.
possible.
Kelly, did you want to add something to that?
No, I think that's,
Okay.
well, we did do a comprehensive review. It was probably like 4 or 5 years ago, if not even longer. And what we did was, because a lot of communities too, like, and we moved away from this, with sewer, water is on a meter, but with sewer, it's like fixed, right? There's a lot of communities that do fixed, but it's recommended to go towards metered because then it ties to water. Everybody's trying to reduce the consumption of water. That's the direction, the preferred direction. So we modified how we build our sewer to align more with our water. And the question is what is that percentage? Right? Some communities do 100%, some do 70%, we do 80%, some do 85%.
Yeah.
Golden does 100%.
Yeah,
So it is really a mixed bag and it really depends on the community, and at different times of the year, it'll fluctuate or not. I do know we're gonna be looking at it when we review in our finance meeting, because there are some simple tweaks that we can look at, like maybe there isn't a second fixed charge in certain
or
areas.
it's reduced.
Or it's a reduced one if it's a second meter. There
Okay.
are some definite tweaks that we can do to make it so it kind of fits our community a little bit better, for sure.
Okay, that sounds good. Counselor Bailey?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, yeah, you kind of touched on a little bit about 1-for-1, and we're at 80%. I thought most communities are going to 100% model. Like, where do we fall within that? Because I think 80% is not too bad, actually, in terms of where we are in comparison.
Hmm.
Is that true? Daryl, do you have any, or anybody has?
Bianca?
Quite a few of the ones around us are still at fixed, and to be quite honest with you, like, for example,
Okay.
Salmon Arm, they're residential, they don't even do meters, everyone has a fixed charge for water and sewer. So it all
Oh, okay.
depends on kind of where you're at. My new manager of financial services, he just came back from Strathmore, they're 100% consumption.
For
They
sure.
figured their actual rate is like 70-80%, they left it at 100% consumption. Yeah, so it's kind of all over the bay.
But 80% is not like, it's conservative. It's not.
Right. Yeah,
Counselor
Okay.
Mitchell?
Through the chair, Kelly, that comparison that you did for all the communities around us, the last go around, would it be hard to update that again?
We'll look for.
And we'll have that for finance,
About it today.
finance meeting?
And
That's good. Well, leave this with us, Ralph. I think that there's some investigating in the budget process here and that we can do, but just leave it.
We were going to, they're going to have a meeting and talk about this bylaw. This last spring, and it never happened, and I'm still waiting to hear if they're gonna have a meeting. And I wouldn't mind being there and throwing my ideas around too.
December 13th is when we have a penciled in, well, pretty much hard. That'll be the date.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. finance meeting.
December 13th.
Yeah.
Right?
Just solidified those dates.
Thank you, Ralph. Okay.
Great. Thanks for.
Thanks, Ralph, for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, where am I now? Okay, policy or bylaw and policy, recommendation of the district to Sycamore zoning amendment bylaw number 1049/2023 be adopted this 8th day of November 2023. Could I get a mover? Counselor Evans, Counselor Rachel. Okay, who's speaking to this? Nicole.
Yep, through the chair. So today we're bringing 1049/2023 for adoption. It was given third on October 11th, and the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure has a bylaw. And as a reminder, it's 710 Con Street, shown in the map there. And this proposal is to facilitate a subdivision. And the amendment is for to reduce the minimum parcel size from 450 meters squared in the zoning bylaw to 302 meters squared. And that would still allow for a house on the lot. not much more to add.
Council, any comments or questions? Okay, let's call the question. Oh, Ian? No, no, I think that's just a shadow behind him on the wall. It looks like a hand. Stop it. No, hey? Ian's got a question again.
Hello, too.
Let's call the question.
Yeah,
All in
no,
favor?
Perfect.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. No staff reports, notices, committee reports. Okay, we're gonna go into correspondence now. Does anyone have any comments on the correspondence? We'll start with Councillor Evans and then go to Councillor Beach.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to comment on Sylvia Siemens, citizen of Sigamoose, and her good letter, detailed letter about walkability and safety and some needs for improvement. And I know that we're working on active transportation plan for Sigamoose, and but she's got some really valid points, and I just wanted to highlight the letter, and I'm sure you all read it, but I too have noticed some of the trying to think of a good word. I guess the negligence of people to I watched the guy in front of me not slow down at all when there was the yellow light flashing at the 97A crossing bar and shop, and these people had pressed the light and began to walk, and he barreled through. So, you know, I think she's got some really good points, and she had told me a couple times she almost got hit crossing
On Transcat.
yeah. So I would like to highlight that I really am grateful for the good work of the bike lane and the zebra crossings on Capel, and we need to do more of that stuff. This does highlight something that many of us have brought up, that we really need to get some kind of sidewalk on Highway 1 across, and need to get something on that side, so it's not just people on a narrow piece of dirt between Sigamoose Auto and Tim Hortons area and Joe Schmucks or whatever it's called now, Alpine. So yeah, I really appreciate Sylvia's letter, and I hope we can really aggressively keep working on this stuff.
Thank you. No, I agree. Even at the circle, you know, there's so many high school kids going through that circle all the time. So when you stop, you're supposed to stop until people get right through the circle, not stop and go because they crossed in front of you. You kind of, and people need to remember that it's just not, because you start moving traffic again, right? So just, yeah, just paying attention in those spaces. Councillor Beach.
Through the chair, I just want to make note of the fact that we got 2 correspondence items that had to do with the invasive mussel. One from Okanagan Basin and also one from the Shuswap Watershed Council. And I would hope that everybody took a look at the YouTube, the video or the piece that showed you the progression. I feel that I would like to bring this back for discussion to the board. I'm not feeling comfortable with just writing letters anymore to the province. I think that the Okanagan Basin has set the bar by declaring a moratorium. I would like to talk more about it because I'm really feeling that this is not being taken seriously enough, and I would like our council to reconsider. I don't know what the process is, but I'm just saying I would like to talk more about this and have another chance to think of maybe how we could respond more aggressively towards supporting some action and getting action. And at least buying time to find out how the Snake River experiment worked with the release of a molluscicide. We don't even know if that worked, right? This is serious. I would like to talk about it more.
Yeah, it has.
Is that okay?
It's
like, I don't know how to do
we
that.
put it on the agenda for the next council meeting in a cow as to what we're going to do. Councillor Evans, I have a ton to say about this, but you go ahead.
just back to Sylvia's letter, if we're done talking about.
I thought I could move.
So I think I need more coffee. I would like to explore the idea of sidewalk definitely on Highway 1 and other options to make that safer, because we've talked about it before, but I don't know if it's MOTI that's supposed to put that in or if us, and I just would like to.
It's one of our priorities on our active transportation. It's number one or,
It's third priority
Okay.
yeah, so.
out of quite a few. It's in,
Yeah.
it's in the top three.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, I
Yeah,
did
go
bring
ahead.
that forward to council and I thought, like. I remember staff before it said, well, we finished the pedestrian bridge going across Eagle River and
Yeah.
nice sidewalk to 2.5 meters
Mhm.
wide. And then you got nothing and then a pedestrian activated light that will across it, said. Let's connect those two together. And staff was saying, well, no, we're just wrapping up our active transportation plan and then we have to do our master plan. What? No, let's just connect those two together.
So because this is a safety issue, could we get staff to have a look at it and put it on, bump it maybe to the top or put it on the radar?
You know, we'll talk about it in our 5-year financial plan. So we did actually, we did recently talk about this because we have received 3 quote options, correct, Daryl?
Correct.
From Urban, right, for it. So we were actually looking at it as it tied to that active transportation plan grant, but the quotes we received were pretty expensive. And they either relate to MOTI or private property. They go across. So it is a little bit more complicated, but it is on our radar and it'll be a discussion point when we talk about our 5-year capital plan.
So, and it'll probably be part of the corridor plan as well, because I mean, if you start building that right now and then Trans-Canada goes into 2 lanes going through Sycamoose, that's gonna make, that's gonna make, but we need something now for the safety of, I'm not saying just wait for MOTI, because like, ooh. Go ahead, Councillor Bushel.
Yeah, through the chair, and don't forget, just about 4 months ago, we received another letter from a lady that lives over in Rama area, and of course, her family, she can't, the kids, don't take a bus to school, so they gotta walk to school, so it's just like a disaster, and they're just young kids.
Especially in the winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gotta come by Tim Hortons and walk all the way along the highway, and it's not good.
Yeah, no,
Councillor Beach.
Chair, yeah, we had this conversation and I think I summed it up by saying we need to get our pedestrians off the shoulders of 97 highway and the Trans-Canada. We need to make it safe for them. So I remember we all agreed on that.
So Kelly, we'll leave that with you and staff. And does anyone else have anything to add to the response? Go ahead, Councillor Beach.
No, so the invasive mussel will go back on sorry, Bob, I didn't, the next topic, I actually do have seniors who are concerned about, but I'll bring that up when I've got all of the information together, concerned about the roadways and stuff. So I just moved on, but so I'm guaranteed that it'll be on the next agenda and we'll have another talk about the invasive mussel response. Okay.
It's pretty important, but I think that we need to change some of the players on that, because we keep going to MOE and to transport. And I think that interior health should be part of this conversation as well, because we don't know what it's going to do to the drinking water, to the water supply. So I think that putting interior health and putting them on notice as well is probably a good idea. And that's coming from a doc that suggested to me that. So
yeah,
I think that we need to add that. Okay, Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, and same thing, invasive mussels. I mean, they poured 116,000 gallons of acid or whatever it's called.
a molluscicide. I can't, it was a copper gelatin or I don't know.
Everything for 26 miles.
Everything for 26, like, wow, that's a high price. And they're not sure even if it was effective and if it did get into the Columbia and then the Columbia Basin.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I support what Councillor Beach is saying, but I think it's becoming, and the first letter from the Okanagan Basin, it called for immediate action. And I think that's key, immediate. Like our process before would be, you know, we'll pass a resolution, we'll get it passed at Silga, we'll hopefully Silga endorse, we'll take it to UBCM and they'll endorse it and then it will become an action item for the government in power. I don't think we have time for that process on this one. I think we've been dealing with it for a couple of years now, and now it's more to the forefront. So I don't know what I'm recommending, but I'm recommending that we need to respond to this and not our normal route.
I think that letter is requesting a moratorium on boats coming into the province of British. That's their immediate action. And I don't think that we all feel the same way about that. So this is going to have to be a bigger conversation because now it's a double-edged sword. Now you're cutting back on tourism.
Done.
And yeah, you're telling tourists not to come because our government can't figure out how to put a check at border crossings. Like, so we all suffer. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Bailey.
Sorry, no, I was just
Reaching for your
messing around
drink.
with messing around with my mute button. But no, I did want to say that obviously this is a big concern to our community. So definitely worth another discussion. I mean, I read the letter and I'm not sure if stopping boats coming from Alberta into British Columbia is the answer either, but certainly another discussion about possible immediate steps. It's be well worth our time.
Yeah, for sure. Councillor Beach.
Through the chair, I think that the problem is that we don't have the appropriate attention of our provincial and our federal governments. I mean, they're not taking this seriously enough. And the reason that I think a moratorium, if we all could get on the same page right now, would force the province to actually take stiffer action. If we all could get on the same page. And I guess that's a big if, but you know, I have been in contact with, I talked with a counselor on Spalmsheen. I know that everybody is concerned. We're all feeling the same way. We just have to try and get it together so that we all say no out of province boats until you get your act together, and we are happy with the an aggressive prevention program that we can also get some funding to help locally to check the boats and monitor.
Put this on the next agenda and we'll have a discussion about it. And I did, just FYI, Siobhan, you had asked me and you guys were all sitting there when Rick Glumac from MLA, before we went into the muscle meeting, I did reach out to him because he is on the federal provincial muscle coalition. So I did reach out to him. I did send him an email, so I'm just waiting back to hear. Councillor Bushel.
Through the chair, maybe we could just send an email, not a letter, like just a staff to Maria Crawford and see what UBSEM, you know, because was a resolution that was approved, and see where they're at with their, you know, with all this, you know, all these awareness letters going out from the regional districts and everything. Maybe she can give us an update of what she's doing or what UBCM is doing before our next meeting, so we'll have it for our next meeting's discussion.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Any other correspondence? Right. We have 15 minutes allocated too. Anyone online that has their hand up? Anyone in the gallery? Ralph, do you have any questions pertaining to these correspondence?
Well, I'd like to hear somebody looking into this thing about the sidewalk, because we live down by King Ordinance there. And we like to walk, but more do we walk? I mean, it's terrible there. It's just trying to get across the highway without, especially in the summertime, traffic is steady on.
Yeah.
We do need sidewalk there. I think we should, Is it the conventional or the MLT? What is it?
Yeah.
MOTI,
Yeah,
you have. They're, yeah,
You're slow.
they're slow. Yeah. Some government. So, Sarah, anyone, their hand up? All right, then. We are going to adjourn this meeting at 5:35. I know, hey, could I get a mover? Counselor Bailey, Counselor Rich, all in favor? We're done. Thank you, everyone.
Get some sleep, Ian.
Bye, Ian.